You are listening to the Shift Your Practice podcast with your hosts, Natalie Beauchamp and digital marketing strategist Brandy Kinnear. Both successful seven-figure practice creators in the natural health industry, they've teamed up to bring practitioners all their best business tips, growth strategies, technology tips, and practice marketing tools so you can reach financial freedom. Freedom from overwhelm and start living the life you want on purpose, not by default. This candid duo is keeping it real and straight from the heart. So buckle up and enjoy the ride, and please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times.
Hey everybody, it's Natalie and Brandy on the Shift Your Practice podcast. And today we're talking about marketing. Nat, do you want to break down some of the things we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, I'm excited, and you're going to be taking the lead on this one. So you'll do more talking probably than me, but it'll be so hard not to chime in because obviously this is your expertise. But in the last 23 years, I have seen how much digital marketing has shifted, and that's what we want to dig more into. So first question then, Brandy, is why do you think that what worked before may not be working now? And I think, the answer to this is obviously technology and the fast pace, but how can people make sure that their marketing stays relevant? And you and I have conversation about that all the time. So bring up.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges with online marketing, so digital marketing in your practice, because as you know, it's a multi-channeled approach. There are some offline activities that need to be done. But when it comes to online, the biggest challenge that businesses in general, and even more specifically practitioners have, is that things are constantly changing. So we look at social media as being a great tool to connect with an audience. We know that there's billions and millions of users daily on the different social platforms. But every so often, Facebook comes up with a massive change that affects what you're doing online. As an example, they just recently came up with more updates, and everything is favoring groups. If you notice, your Facebook page is getting very little interaction and engagement. The reality is people aren't being shown your page in their newsfeed. So if you're not paying to play, meaning you're not using paid ads on Facebook or boosting your content to an audience that you'd like to be in front of, very good chance that your access to your audience has dropped significantly. And even more so now with the latest updates. One of the things that Facebook is favoring the most is groups. Now, does that mean everybody should go out and build a Facebook group? I feel like you really have to understand whether or not that's valuable for your practice, how much communication you want to do, how available are you to really connect with people in a group. But knowing that if you wanted to use Facebook as a tool, setting up a group and providing valuable information is really the spot where you're going to gain a lot of engagement. Mm-hmm. Another thing to note is where we used to be able to just type in a post or put up a graphic post and get a lot of feedback, engagement, comments. Nowadays, video is king. And we've been saying video is king for years, but the predictions for 2020 is that 80% of Facebook content will be video.
Wow. So those Facebook Lives are really important, aren't they?
Facebook Lives and just using video in general, because what's happening is, and we talk about the rule of seven, it's kind of the old school rule of seven. And I feel like we talked about it last time, but you need to have multiple engagements with somebody before they're ready to buy. So somebody doesn't see you the first time and think, she's cute, I've got a sore back, or she's amazing, I've got some gut health issues, and I'm going to reach out to her and she's going to be my, she's going to be my savior. I'm in a vulnerable health state and I've chosen that person. The reality is people have so many options and they need to really get to know you. So you have to have a multitude of touch points. I call them micro engagements in order to take somebody through almost like this buying process. And if you're not using video, you don't get a true sense of who the person is. It takes a lot longer to build that engagement. It's a lot harder to get out there and have this brand awareness and these micro engagements across all of the channels that you need. So video is just a faster way to get there. We look at Instagram as an example. So anybody who's not on Instagram, go and get on Instagram, please, because where Facebook used to be hot and everybody could see your content and whatever you were putting out was accessing your audience, Instagram is going to be your favorite right now. If you serve a very old population in a very rural area, strong likelihood Instagram is not going to be valuable for you. But for everybody else, Instagram is very hot right now. They've been growing massively. It's owned by Facebook. It's, got similar activities and engagement opportunities and all of that, but it is just accessing people in a much more rapid way right now.
Cool. I have tons of questions for you here. So let's break some stuff down for us doctors and how we can leverage that. So you are correct, and I'll give my page for the clinic, and let's bring this to tactical points here, tactical step that people can do. So of course I have a Facebook Santé page which we post and we try to engage. So now and I do some boosted posts, because you are right that I can see the numbers, maybe, I don't know, 70, 80 people see the page or the post. So once in a while, I'll toss in a little bit of money and, people can see it more. So that's great. So would you suggest, and I think everybody's going to be different, but let's say if you have, let's say, a raving fan of your practice, or somebody in your practice, a team member that's really good on social media, would you say we should start a Facebook group, put the person in charge, and then invite strategically some patients, and then they can invite their friends and so forth? So I guess the answer probably will be yes, but how should we manage the content, and what should we, what's the look and feel of this group, right?
So it's not 100% yes for me, because as an example, just one of my clients I was speaking with yesterday, we were talking about this Facebook group that she's created. And she says to me, Brandy, it's like crickets in there. And she says, when they post, they're talking about, kind of nonsense. It's not actually building value for the audience or setting her up to be this expert in her field. The reality is you have to have a strategic plan for it. So you can have it set up by anyone easily, but if you're not in there delivering valuable content, and it's almost like you're the orchestrator. So there's a choir of people in the audience, but you need to direct it. So you have to put this into your marketing strategy. You have to schedule this into your time. You have to go live in your group, or if not live, record videos on a somewhat frequent basis, because 100% goal for the group is to build community and engagement and conversations. So if you're somebody that's got zero time available and conversations are not in your wheelhouse, and you're not really interested in engaging with the audience, then I would suggest a Facebook group is not going to be a good use of your time. I don't see it being a fit for everybody.
Yeah.
However, putting up videos on your Facebook page, delivering this valuable content, and then boosting them to a cold audience could be a strategy that you want to take advantage of, so that you're still using Facebook for its valuable tools. Another thing on Facebook that they're favoring more and more, and we'll talk about it too on Instagram, is stories. So
that's exactly where I was going with you. So I know that, different age group, and I think people in their 20s and 30s will be on Instagram, that's for sure. People in their 40s, most likely, but you go a little bit higher than that, and it's more Facebook. So that being said, I know myself that I do use Instagram, but how valuable are those stories? Because I look at them sometime and I can see how many people have seen the story. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, should I have posted a regular post instead of an Insta story? So tell us.
Well, so Facebook and Instagram both have stories on the platform. Instagram stories are definitely gaining more popularity than I would say the Facebook stories are. However, you can post to your Instagram story, and it can if you can link your accounts, it can auto post to your Facebook. So you're kind of capturing both sets of audiences. So that's a good strategy if you're trying to reach more people and your posts aren't getting to them. Try engaging in stories. When it comes to Instagram, Instagram's a very visual platform. So people that have been really successful on Instagram, if you take a look at large accounts, they've really done a lot of work in their gallery, which is their news feed, to have like beautifully represented content. Some people will cut and paste and put whatever they want up there, but the ones that are really gaming Instagram and really making it a professional branding experience, you'll look and see that they've got brand colors that they've chosen. They're choosing images motivational quotes, leaving some white space. There could be the checkerboard effect. There could be the white boxes around it. Like it's a very creative platform. So when you're using your gallery, you don't want to just throw in some random stuff. And that's where you use Insta stories. So your gallery is this beautiful representation of your business. You've got extra branding, but your Insta stories is raw, it's organic. You can do whatever you want in there. They only last for 24 hours and they show up at the top of the screen. So people can get what happens is people get used to seeing sort of like your profile picture in the top if you're consistent with it. And you can I usually recommend 5 different categories of content that you should be putting out. So in Insta stories, you can use the same categories. So one of them would be, who you are. So it would be sort of like a lifestyle post. Maybe it's a snapshot of something fun with your kids. Maybe it's something, a hobby that you have, an exercise that you like to do, some kind of, regime that you do every day. You could post, then you can move on to a value post. So what value do you bring? Do you want to motivate, inspire, teach? You could put a post in that category. Then you can get into the medicine side. So the medicine everything can't lead with medicine, because remember, one thing we're not trying to do all the time is sell. We're delivering value, but we also want to build relationships with people. Weirdly, it's 2019 and we want to build relationships with people online so that we can take them offline and into our business. So you could be putting up a medicine post. What does medicine mean? Okay, alternative medicine, natural medicine, chiropractic medicine, whatever that means to you, some sort of informational post about your zone of genius, your mastery, that people would actually be interested in. And, 5th grade English, we're not talking about something super high level, and people have no idea what that means. If I've got a problem, my problem is pain, my problem is, lifestyle issues, physical problems, what's actually affecting my life. And then we talk about a sales post. So if you're not clearly articulating what it is that you offer, and you don't say to people, look, come and work with me in a gentle way, you're missing out on an opportunity. We're not always giving value. We do sort of this 80-20 rule, give, but then make sure you ask for the sale and make it clear so people can take action and move forward. And then another opportunity is if you're out there blogging, if you have any type of articles that you're putting on your website, you can use your Insta story and your gallery for that matter to promote your blog post. Because the one thing I think people forget is, whatever business we're in the health space, we want leads. Marketing is leads. That's what it is. We know that it's a funnel. The more leads we have, the more people are going to come in. We're going to get qualified ones and they're going to turn into buyers. If you're only on Instagram and you're not taking them off that platform into your email sequence, your SMS sequence, getting them onto your website, somewhere where you can retarget them and have nurtured communication, again, we're kind of missing out on what the goal of it all is.
Exactly, because at any point, and Facebook has done that, they can pull the rug under us. And if you don't have their email contact to nurture that relationship, it will go. So when you say Insta story, video Insta story or picture or either? Both? Okay, all right.
Yeah. And I think we've done some testing in the agency to see, what works better. And we've done some beautifully crafted graphic representations of a company. And then we've done raw content with our clients, and the raw content wins out. So where your beautiful represented stuff should be in your gallery, the stories are really raw. It's like, take a snapshot of that, do a selfie of it, and you can type on top of it. There's so many different engagement tools that people aren't using on Insta stories. You can ask questions. There's polls. There's sliding scales of whether or not somebody likes something. There's so many opportunities to engage with people. The more engagement you have on your stories, the more you're kind of gaming the algorithm. Instagram is going to show your stories to your fans.
Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of smiling as I was at an expo here in Ottawa 2 weeks ago, and like, okay, I got to do this Insta story thing. I'm pretty savvy with social media, but for me, I have no patience whatsoever. So if it doesn't work right away, if I don't know what to do, I'm like, oh, the heck with this. Anyway, there's me and one of my team member, and she's exactly the same age as me, but she's a lot more on Instagram because, her personality is, she's a big cheerleader and she's a runner. So she's involved in the running community a lot. So it was kind of the blind leading the blind, trying to, make it look cool and so forth. But, I'm like, okay, I've done it. It's pretty easy and it's fun. And, my book is called Hack Your Health Habits. Well, talk about habits. I told myself, okay, Natalie, this is a habit that you have to get in the routine. And I know my post, when I do something impromptu, something raw, I get so much more comments. And this is something that I'm not always comfortable with, sharing personal stuff. But I can tell that people connect. And the more you connect with people, obviously you can bring them into your funnel, give them more value, and then they feel like they know and trust you. And then it's easier for them to reach out to you.
Well, that's just it. And I think you have to understand what you're willing to share and maybe draw a line in the sand and say, these are the things that I'm willing to share. I have clients of mine that will not share pictures of their kids or don't want to share any family pictures. But there's many opportunities to show the kind of person you are, just you yourself, regardless of your family, just in your clinic, snapshots of what's going on in the clinic, little videos of what's going on. If a patient's really happy and you want to take a snapshot together, once you start massaging that muscle and getting used to using Instagram, your mind unfortunately kind of wanders into, what can I put on my stories today?
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
That's kind of affairs for some of us, but it is reality.
And I know that throughout the years I've had team member just more outgoing. So we would say, okay, Monday we're doing this, Tuesday we're doing this. And I mean, 5 days a week might be a bit much for some of the practitioner, but make it a bit of a theme, like we had Wellness Wednesday, or I can't remember what all of the days.
Well, one of the strategies that I really like, that I find works well, because we know that people need to see the same information over and over and over again. So if you're a generalist in your practice, whatever that looks like, and you're always talking about different things, it can be challenging for people to know that you're the go-to person for this. So if you have a theme for the month, so you've chosen a topic, theme for the month, you're building videos on that theme, you're putting up posts on that theme, maybe you're sprinkling in some inspiration and motivational stuff that's not related to the theme, just, general lifestyle. And then you're putting snapshots of your lifestyle stuff in the background. That really helps build the consistency with your topic. And it's probably the easiest way to do it, because that's the next part of what's changing and how to change yourself along with the times, is batching your content. I mean, we cannot be making content every day. Even Instagram stories can be batched. I mean, I hate to say it, but the goal is to pick something that you can talk about, flush out the content at the beginning of the month, and schedule it up. We're using schedulers. So there wasn't an opportunity even last year to use schedulers on Instagram. I mean, I believe maybe early last year they started sharing the API so that other companies could auto schedule to Instagram. Before you had to do it every day, all the time. Facebook has its own scheduler. Instagram has its own scheduler. If you post to Instagram, you have your accounts linked, you're kind of doing a one-shot deal. But the consistency is what's required. It builds momentum. And the funny thing is, sometimes people say to me, Brandy, I've been doing this for so long and I don't know if it's working. And then we look at the data on the back end of, let's say, their website and see how much traffic's coming from social. And it's look, there's traffic coming. Then we see that people are actually reaching out and sending them direct messages. And, look, people are engaging with you. But at the end of the day, you don't know where people are in their buying position. So if they're reaching out at touch point number 1 and they need 20 more before they're going to take action, you just have to be consistent. You don't actually get direct data, just like you didn't when you still sent flyers to postal codes. You don't get exact data, but it's a necessary part of business now. If you want to build your brand, your company's brand, and start getting people to know, like, and trust you, which is what everybody wants. It just grows your business so much faster.
Looking at our time here, we're going to do part 2 of this because we're not going to get to the second and third bullet. But question for you on the Instagram and the Facebook. One pet peeve that I have with business owners, and you chime in of what you think, but I don't like when people use their personal page to promote their business. So,
it's actually against the Facebook rules, and Facebook can shut you down. So you got to be really careful.
So, always better to do on your page, create some value. And once in a while, you may share something and you're making it a little bit more.
I mean, if you had a clinic, you should have a clinic business page. Then you should also have a doctor XXX page, which is another business page. But as soon as it's your hey, I'm Andrea Smith,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to start talking about your clinic and your medical page, that's when you're starting to break the rules. So, I mean, and how many pages do you want to have? How much time are you willing to spend on Facebook? I look at everything as what's the least amount of work that you can do to be omnipresent, build your expert brand, and not make it consume your whole life.
Yeah. And going back to the repurposing of content, you're just reminding me here, I've created for the practice 52 PowerPoints that are topic driven, that January, this is where we talk about in those 4 weeks and so forth. So I'm constantly repurposing. You just gave me an idea with that I should focus my Insta story on that. So see, just talking, it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Just to make it's in line in the theme for the month, because we have handouts and so forth. So
well, and then the team in the clinic knows what's going on. Everybody's talking about it. It's relevant to the season. It's relevant to the time. And it just takes all of that, patchwork out of it if you can have something very cohesive, pre-scheduled.
Yeah. So, we all know that there are some tools like Later or Hootsuite or, whatever is out there. So how many scheduled posts would you say a clinic should do per week, and how many impromptu, post about what's going on?
So it's a good question. I feel like on Facebook, we used to post every day, and that was the way that you gained get algorithm bonus points, was by posting every day. It's not like that on Facebook anymore. Facebook doesn't care how often you post. So on Facebook, you really want to make sure that you're doing video, and you could be posting once or twice a week. That's how valuable your posts are on Facebook. But on Instagram, it's a little bit different. Some people will say you can post up to 3 to 5, 10 times a day on Instagram. I would never waste that much time for a medical, natural alternative, any type of practice in this space, chiropractic, physiotherapy. I would never waste that much time on it. I think that you want to focus on probably 1 post a day, 5 days a week on Instagram. You can share those all to Facebook, but again, we're really focusing on Instagram. And then if there's 5 posts that we talked about, one's a sales post, one's a lifestyle post, one's a value post, one's promoting your blog, and you can put in the other kind of organic behind the scenes picture in there. So if you're getting custom graphics made, or you're getting a whole bunch of nice things done, make sure there's some white space or something to take the eye away, because it's just more visually pleasing. And then pop in some kind of recommendation that you have. Maybe there's a book that you're reading. Professional photos really help with that. And then again, keep the organic stuff on Insta stories if you can.
Okay.
But I usually recommend people getting professional photos. I have a brand photographer that I work with, and we'll go in, and you've met with her too, Nat. She's amazing. And we'll come up with, 75, 80 different pictures that we can use on social media. That can carry you for 6 months. But the better your brand looks online, the more professional you look, the more tech savvy you look. It just allows people to understand that you're, up to date, you're fresh, your treatments are fresh, your knowledge is fresh, and you care about their experience. Yeah. That's really what people want to know. It's very selfish. Social media is very selfish. Like, what can you do for me? That's what people are asking when they're on there. And if you're just on there doing some kind of random stuff, there's no congruency. It's like you're not paying attention to me and what I need and what I want.
Yeah, and adding to this and going through another path here is that online with social media, what's in it for me is strong. But on top of that, people are hiding behind a keyboard, so they're a little bit more gutsy than they would be, in person. And sometimes it's advantageous, and sometimes it just makes me go, of the negative things that people will say about others. So we'll get to the other 2 or 3 points that we wanted to discuss today on our part 2. But while we're on the path of Facebook, Instagram, what do you think about Twitter for a clinic, Brandy?
Well, so here's my question. How many people, survey your patients, how many people are on Twitter? Mm-hmm. I'm going to be 43 this year. I am everybody's ideal client. I have back issues. I could see any health practitioner. I do see all the health practitioners. I can't tell you when last I was on Twitter as a patient. Professional to professional. Professionals are on Twitter. Yeah. Patients, B2B, yes. B2C, not so much. Yeah. I just don't see the value.
Totally agree. How about LinkedIn?
Again, LinkedIn is a professional network. So if you're trying to reach people that have health issues, they're not people that are on LinkedIn or maybe on there looking for a job, or they're trying to find somebody that they've connected with from a, networking perspective. You want to reach people where they've got a health issue. Those are the people that are sitting there scrolling on Facebook, trying to take their mind, watching funny, videos of animals, trying to take their mind off of their life, not necessarily on any of the other platforms. For me, those are the most two. I would also include YouTube. Yeah. I think if somebody wanted to get really smart with building their brand as an expert and really generating that know, like, and trust factor, and we know that video is the fastest way to do it, I would build an IGTV channel, which is Instagram's version of YouTube. And I would have videos on YouTube, and I would be making sure that, I'm basically making use of all of the platforms.
So how would one go about that? Just recording it on their phone and then distributing it?
Well, it depends. Again, it depends. So we really want to take a look at your brand and how professional you want to look. People on YouTube expect, if you're standing out as an expert in medicine and you want people to know that you're the brand to trust, I say that the quality should be a little bit better for IGTV and for YouTube, although there's many people out there that are not doing high quality production. So my best advice is to go and take a look at what some people you would consider competition or in your space are doing and see what resonates with you, because there are people that are building lots of video content with their phone and doing organic stuff. And then there's people that have very specific branding that they want, and they're not willing to compromise on quality. The goal is to get the content out. The goal is to batch the content, and then you have to decide, how your brand fits into it, and, make a decision on whether or not you need to spend the extra. To be quite honest, I have videographers that go to clinics and will build a whole bunch of content, change up your shirts, have all the content ready, have a couple different backdrops, and we'll have that ready and just release it as it goes. It's just such an easier way to do things.
Yeah, I've done that in past years.
But there's people that are going on their phone and doing IGTVs every day. One thing to note with Instagram is that you can only do 1 minute video on your gallery, which is your feed, as well as on Insta stories. You get capped unless you do an Insta story live, which allows you longer time, but I believe it only stays up for 12 hours now. Instagram has IGTV platform where you can have a video for up to 10 minutes. So if you've got more content that you want to share and you really want to get people understanding the value of what you're delivering, and you can't do that in a minute because it can be challenging to do that in a minute, you need to make use of the IGTV platform.
Cool. And then the last one that pops in my head, because I know there's more, how about Pinterest?
Well, again, like when I go on Pinterest, I'm looking for baking recipes. I'm looking for, design stuff for my house. Like, what are your clients suffering from that they're at the tipping point where they need to search out information and they want to take action? Is Pinterest delivering? Some people will say, nutritionists and probably some other categories would say that they benefit from Pinterest, but I haven't seen it being successful in the alternative health industry.
Yeah, and maybe just creating a board with some information and not.
Sure, I mean, you can be there. You can be there, but would I spend quality time on it? No. You have to choose your battles wisely.
Yeah. And on that front too, I always say to people when they ask me, like, if you don't like to write, well, don't pick a blog as your main source of communication and post, like do a video. If you're shy, you don't like to speak, but you're a great writer, again, repurpose.
Well, and again, whenever we're looking at batching content, that theme that you're having for the entire month, this is what I recommend, is either write an article or dictate an article or make a video.
Yeah.
That's one of the 3 steps that you can do to generate content for that month. Then you're pulling posts out of whatever you've done, and it's done and done. If you don't like being on camera, you can have professional pictures of you with quote cards on top of them. You can there's a tool called wave.co. It's with 2 V's, WAVVE.co, where you're doing an audible on top of a picture, and it looks like a video and it plays like a video on Instagram. So there's many different ways to get yourself out there but 2020, 80% is going to be video content. So if your biggest issue is video, I would suggest mastering video is probably something you want to put on
your Toastmasters or some kind of organization.
Or just grab your phone, pretend you're talking to somebody in your office, start getting used to seeing your face on camera, and then delete them all. And then try again until you get to the point where you're happy with it. Get a ring light, get a tripod, get a few things, and start playing around with video, because if you're not, you're going to be missing out. That's the bottom line. You have issues that they're stopping you from doing things, just means that other people are going to pass you by.
Awesome. So my goodness, you and I can talk for hours. So I think, and that's what I love about our podcast. We have a theme. We didn't cover everything. We're just going to keep on rolling part 2 next time, which I know we want to focus on heart-centered approaches to marketing, because, let's face it, the hard sale marketing doesn't resonate with many of us healthcare practitioners as a rule, but then sometimes you feel like you're pushed to do this because you need to create those funnels. And also we're going to talk about how your story matters, and you have to find a way to stand out. We're all, let's say, chiropractor, or naturopath, or holistic nutritionist, or acupuncturist, but how do you differ from the other people in your profession? That's what people want to know and find out more. So we're going to discuss that on our next podcast, and I'm sure we're going to discuss a lot more on marketing, digital marketing, because that's a big topic. We're probably going to be doing at some point more specific strategy podcast on that. But for now, hopefully, I know I got excited of thinking, my theme for every month and every week, I'm going to do an Insta story. And, as much as I'm hacking my health habits, I need to hack my social media habits to make it consistent and repeat it and become comfortable. It's just like, a new activity. You got to train your brain. You got to put it in the schedule, and then.
And I think that the best thing to remember is that the patients are there and they're being taught by other people that are doing what you're not doing.
Yeah. And it's funny that
that's maybe the fire. That's the fire
Yeah.
under your tushy there, people. Like, there's other people doing it better than you. And let's face it, they're your customers. So
yeah, it's funny that you say that, because sometimes I have people lying down on the table. They've watched Dr. So-and-so's video, and I'm like, it's awesome, that they're reaching out for the information. I'm sometimes thinking, but I have information on that too. But obviously, I'm not sharing it enough. So, Brandy, awesome talk. I always get energized when we share information, because every day we learn, every day we grow. And when it comes to online marketing, by golly, does it ever go fast. So thank you.
It sure does. It was a pleasure. I hope everybody got a few tidbits, some clinical pearls. Get making those videos, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining the Shift Your Practice podcast, where Brandy and I are just hopping on and sharing wisdom from her perspective as having a marketing agency, and myself being in the practice for 23 years, really trying to help people take control of their health. So to me, whatever I can say or do that's going to empower them to take action, it's part of the plan. So until next time.
You are listening to the Shift Your Practice podcast with your hosts, Natalie Beauchamp and digital marketing strategist Brandy Kinnear, both successful 7-figure practice creators in the natural health industry. They've teamed up to bring practitioners all their best business tips, growth strategies, technology tips, and practice marketing tools so you can reach financial freedom. Freedom from overwhelm, and start living the life you want on purpose, not by default. This candid duo is keeping it real and straight from the heart. So buckle up and enjoy the ride, and please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times.